Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever it is across the seven seas you are hailing from. Today is Friday, another week gone by, the first full week of March 2023, and what a week it was. I want to give a weekly report here for Sabre Trading Systems, and pleased to report that for the month of February, we had ourselves 43 trade opportunities presented in the Forex market, 24 trading opportunities in the futures market, and all of it without all this mess and all this garbage, looking around the news, looking at reports, looking at all this crazy stuff. Simply supply and demand, looking at price action, looking at those price charts, giving us a high level of success. Likewise, in the futures market, we had 24 opportunities presented with 71R gain. And if you're not familiar with the term of R, I welcome you to read one of my articles in the show notes on it's all about the R, the return on your investment, the reward risk ratio. So let's get into the meat. What happened this week? All right, we started off Monday really strong. We have the pound yen. And in our system, we have what we call the weather. We're looking for a long. We're in a buying environment. All right, so the weather was nice and green, telling us go ahead and buy, and a Sabre level presented itself. We marked that off, and price did come in, and it tootled around a little bit then, and it got actually a little sharky, what we like to call it. So we protected our position, but then at some point we did see the weather started to turn against us. We were no longer in a buying environment. We were in what we call stranger tides, and at this point it said abort, and let's go ahead and take some profit. So rather than hit our target, we just got out and took a little bit of profit before that turned into a loser. So rather get a little bit of treasure than lose the entire shebang. Okay. Later in that day, we had the Swiss yen, which presented for us what we call the gauntlet. And the gauntlet trade presented itself, entered over here, and unfortunately, it did make its way about 3/4 of the way to the target and turned on us. So we fed the Kraken. All right, just like the golden goose, you can't starve the golden goose. We got to feed the Kraken every now and then. So with the opportunity to make all these other trades. All right. Next is copper. Copper had an explosive move, beautiful level of demand. And when price came back in, it did go up, but it didn't make it to our target. We saw, just like with the pound yen, the tide was turning, the weather was changing. And just like you get on that boat and everything's nice and clear, as soon as you see those storm clouds, turn around. All right, so we got into that trade, and over here, it was time to turn around, take our profit. And lo and behold, price moved against us. Next is the Hang Seng, HK50. We had ourselves a nice little Sabre level again, followed our rules of location, formation, and destination, had a juicy little target up there. But once it entered, it just tootled around. Again, the buyers and the sellers were fighting like dogs, all right? And so, boom, we got a nice little wick up there. Boom, we got a wick in there. And then the weather changed. And so the charts told us that we had to get out and take a small profit, all right? Now, that was the end of a small profit day. So something must have happened in the market either Sunday night or on Monday to cause this type of action to occur. So next is the Aussie Zealand, all right? The Aussie Zealand gave us a short right below shark-infested waters. So we were looking forward to going short, having a selling opportunity. We entered over here and it tootled around a bit. The buyers and sellers were duking it out, and who won? The sellers, all right? We went ahead and took 3R of profit out of that guy. The dollar peso, the peso has been treating us really good lately, and so we had ourselves what we call a ghost club haul. If you've been on our latest sessions talking about the ghost gauntlet and the ghost club haul, they are officially part of our war chest, and they've been working beautifully. So this was a ghost club haul on the dollar peso. We were in a shorting environment, and the weather turned, telling us that we were probably going to see the end of that trend. So we were able to catch that falling knife, and boom, it absolutely did turn on us. So we got into that and grabbed our 3R, which is our default for a club haul. Then we had the Aussie yen. All right, the Aussie yen was the trade of the week. There were 3 opportunities given to us by the Aussie yen. The first one was a club haul as well. It looked like the market was going to turn, and it just gave us a fake out. It kept on going down. So the first trade turned into a lemon. And what do we do as pirates with a lemon? We eat it so we don't get scurvy, right? So there's our -1, and boom, we got our 3. So we turned that lemon into lemonade, and that club haul ended up being a gauntlet. Beautiful trade, hit our default 3R for that club haul as well. Then we got ourselves a level on a level, all right? And the first level did not qualify. The second level did qualify. We decided since they were an overlapping level that we would take them both together as a single level. It came up and boom, made our 3R target. But in order to make that 3R, we did have to bring the target up a bit, which is our practice. Whenever we have a target of demand or supply, opposite of our trade, we gotta tighten up our entry a little bit so that we don't violate our risk reward rules of no less than 3R profit. Then we had the Aussie Swiss, and this one unfortunately stopped us out by less than half of a pip. That happens, right? But I can count on one hand how many times we get stopped out like this, at least last year. But I would call this a successful failure. We had ourselves in a downtrending environment or a shorting environment, and we saw this level, and what happened? It hit that level and went right to plan. It's just unfortunate that we got stopped out by half of a pip. So we fed the Kraken again. Then we had the Australia Index, the Aussie 200. We had a rally-based rally above some shark-infested water over here. Beautiful level, beautiful target. And what happened? It came in, and it came in very closely. So depending on your broker, you may or may not have gotten filled. It spent less than 2 minutes in that zone. Of course, we're trading the 4-hour candles. So we did not actually get filled in simulated trading. But if you had a broker and you were having real orders behind it, you might have gotten filled. But we also had a tide turn. All right, the weather changed on us, so we got ourselves out for 1R of profit as opposed to our intended profit. Looks like about 4.5 to 5R over there. Then we had the Euro Norwegian. This one was also a ghost gauntlet, and unfortunately we fed the Kraken with that guy as well. All right, the Euro Norway was probably not the best asset for us this week as opposed to the other one, which was displaying several really good trades. But you got to feed the Kraken. You're not going to win them all. Next is gold on the Aussie, and this was beautiful. This was a sculler, and it ended up going up as of the end of today about 17R. So if you followed that as a sculler, man, you could have told your loved one, hey honey, we had a great month today. If you took that trade all the way to target. But we had an initial target of 6.49, and that went right to target beautifully. It came on in, hit our entry, exploded on up. But then we had a rally-based rally. We were in that sculling environment. So if you rode it all the way, congratulations to you. If not, consider that a learning experience that you might want to take advantage of, letting some winners run. The dollar CAD, we also had another gauntlet, a nice powerful move, and it retraced shortly thereafter. It retraced 1, 2, 3 candles later and went right to our 3R target. Later, it generated a second level. All right, so once we entered our level, it flashed on in and it created a new level, which was also tradable. So now we have a trade within a trade, and we entered over here and we are still in this trade. So we're going to hang on to this over the weekend and see if it hits our target at fresh supply. The pound Aussie, another beautiful looking trade here. We had ourselves a sculling environment going north, and it entered the trade here, made it all the way to 5.3R. Again, we had a secondary trade that manifested right inside of it, but it did not retrace. So I'm sure anyone would have been happy to grab just 5.3R right there. The Aussie Yen, we had ourselves, again, that club haul, which failed, the lemonade, which turned out good. And that third trade we'll go over when we get to it towards the end of today's report. The Euro Aussie, we had a nice drop-based rally. All right, we were in a sculling environment, so we were able to take that trade where normally under our 13-point checklist we would have omitted that, and it worked again out beautifully, grabbing 3R in the process. The pound USD, we got ourselves another ghost gauntlet, beautiful level. And it did struggle there. So obviously there was some supply left up in there, but the buyers swamped them. And there you go. We fed the Kraken once again. And also with the Euro Pound, all right, we had a rally-based rally. We had to lower our entry in order to make 3R on this trade. And when it came in, again, the buyers were there, but they were swamped by the sellers. And we fed the Kraken over there. And then finally, we got the CAD Yen because we had a drop-based drop. Price came back in there in our downward environment, in our shorting environment, and we went ahead and took our 3R profit there. And then finally, that Aussie Yen trade that got in there and gave us another 3R for a total of 30.9R. So yes, indeed, it was a wonderful week following our rules. And so for those of us who missed our live sessions, you can go ahead and review right here in brief all the trades that were found during our live sessions. And if you're still in the onboarding process, feel free to take all these trades and step by step work through them yourselves, because repetition is the mother of skill, and that's how we learn. And it's certainly a great way to spend your weekend expanding your skill set here. For those of you who are not members, I encourage you, consider joining our crew. We trade 3 days a week live, and then we have a 24-hour chat-based system where we share our trades and share our experiences. If you can't make our live sessions, we have recordings going back nearly 2.5 years now. And I encourage everybody, whether you're a member or not, I'm offering a free copy of my book in PDF format. I was recently invited to be a co-author with 20 other individuals on mindset, success, and motivation. And no matter where you are in your trading journey, I shared my chapter called Because I Choose To. So I hope that would be useful. If you decide to sign up, I'll throw in an autographed copy as well. And I encourage you to trade well, trade hard, and have a wonderful weekend.